Your home is a lot like your car. It requires regular maintenance to keep it safe and maintain its value. The professional technicians from Home Smiles complete all your annual maintenance items in just one day. Save time and keep your family safe with our complete 18-point service starting at just $49 a month. Order today with promo code FREEMONTH and we'll waive your first payment.
1-888-SMILE-11. One click or call, smile, it's done.
Hello everybody, Kenny Shepard here from the MADERA Speedway. You know, we take a lot of pride in the program that we have built at MADERA to showcase the top talent in the country from the MADERA Speedway on our MAV TV show. And we're very proud to sponsor this iRacing series for our stars from the MADERA Speedway to compete against other top talent from all over the country. We look forward to seeing everyone very soon as we get the season kicked off at the MADERA Speedway. Until then, have fun and be safe.
It all boils down to this one final race for $1,000 for the champion. Last week, Landon Lewis finally cracked the cheat code that has been Austin Edwards' winning streak, but Edwards maintains a steady championship lead heading into the final round of the series. Who will be crowned king in the Mobil 1 Junior Late Model eSports Series presented by MADERA Speedway? It's time to find out. Good evening, I'm Jason Galvin alongside iRacing NASCAR Coca-Cola Series driver Christian Challoner, Sean Ambrose directing tonight, cameras provided by our good friend Dougie Beard. And welcome to Worldwide Technology Raceway and Global SimRacing Channel's coverage of the championship crowning event in this landmark Mobil 1 Junior Late Model eSports Series presented by MADERA Speedway. Last week, the series shipped off to Bristol for its first taste of high-speed action. Well, for the final round, an even bigger challenge, if you will, in the gateway to the West. Worldwide Technology Raceway doesn't come to mind when you think of crate late model racing, but that's all the more reason to be excited for this event. So why don't we take a look at one of the nicest motorsports facilities in America with our GSRC track guide.
Worldwide Technology Raceway, a speedway born out of the speedway boom of the 90s. More colloquially known as Gateway, the track sits in Madison, Illinois, just on the other side of the mighty Mississippi, from St. Louis and its famous arch. And like that arch, Gateway has become a passage to the western United States for many series calendars. The facility itself opened in 1967 for drag racing, but the changes started in the mid-90s when the land was raised and the rebuilding began. As part of the rebuilding, a 1.6-mile road course was built inside and using part of the 1.25-mile track we are here for today. Its egg-shaped and differing ends in both radius and banking is a challenge for anyone trying to set up a car here. Even though the banking itself isn't too different, 11 degrees in 1 and 2 and 9 degrees in 3 and 4, the radius of 3 and 4 is much wider, so you carry a lot of speed down that front straightaway, which has led to some drama and classic finishes over the years in iRacing and on the real-life track. IndyCar returned here in 2017 after 14 years away, and in a short amount of time has become a coveted spot on that schedule. The NASCAR trucks also make a regular trip here every single year. ARCA is more off and on, and we'll sometimes get some late model and super late model action here with more regional series. Now, with downtown St. Louis and the Gateway Arch as a backdrop, it's getting time to drop the green flag at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
That beautiful closing shot there in our GSRC track guide, and you had a chance to see downtown St. Louis and the arch in the background. Of course, this track's located on the other side of the river in Madison, Illinois, and I meant it when I said this is one of the most beautiful facilities I've ever had the privilege to be at and work at. And we'll welcome back in now the driver of the number 37 JTG Doherty Racing entry in the Coca-Cola eNASCAR Series here on iRacing, Christian Challoner. And Christian, Gateway, as racing fans call this place, such a unique track by American standards, like a mini Darlington. You think of Motegi a little bit as well when you think about the layout here. Big enough to race like a super speedway, but short track characteristics as well. What's the biggest challenge, though, of wheeling a crate late model around this track?
Well, this is probably one of the slower cars that you're likely to see on such a big track. 1.25 mile track, and as you say, very Darlington-esque, very different both ends of the track. A lot flatter than Darlington, 9 to 11 degrees of banking, but it's really going to come down to getting off the corner. Straightaways are very, very long normally. They're very long, especially with this car. It's going to come about getting as much momentum as you can off the corners to get runs on people, especially down in the next turn. You really don't want to be side-by-side through the turns here.
Of course, this is the iRacing late model Monte Carlo that we run here in the Mobil 1 Junior Late Model eSports Series, presented by MADERA Speedway. It's a crate 350 horsepower late model, runs an 8-inch tire, and has put on some great racing here in this series, like the little brother, so to speak, of the super late model that so many short track racing fans love. And this is the first go through here with this series. And it's, of course, a series that started out in California with MADERA Speedway in real life and has moved online through all the trials and tribulations of COVID-19 and the coronavirus pandemic here across the country. Round 6 here tonight, Christian. What you feeling everybody who's tuning in tonight, if it might be their first time, on what they can expect?
Well, as with every other round this series, we're going to be doing either 100 laps tonight or 45 minutes. Obviously, with such a big track, 100 laps is going to be quite a tall order to fit in a 45-minute time slot, but we'll see what we can do with that. We'll also have one green-white checkered if it does come to it, and as always in this series, we're going to have fixed setups provided by Racecraft One.
And tonight, they are going to allow 30 entrants to start if we get there, although it doesn't appear right now as we're into qualifying that 30 drivers are actually going to make the call here for this race. We had as many as 30 for the first couple of rounds, and some drivers who had some bad run of it have kind of dropped out here and there over the last couple of weeks. Right now, as we mentioned, it's championship night. Race winner gets $250. Champion gets $1,000. Top 3 in points, top 3 in the race payout every week. And the points right now, as you mentioned in the open, led by Austin Edwards, who won the first 4 rounds, finished on the podium again last week. And he has a 9-point lead over Robbie Keneally. These two are rivals at MADERA Speedway in the Junior Late Model Series, as is third in points, Bakersfield, California's Cabe McClenny, who's 34 points out of the lead. So Cabe, I don't think, can get there, barring some sort of disastrous lap 1 incident that took both Austin and Robbie out and Cade winning the event. Aside from that, I don't think Cabe can get there. It's basically going to be down to Austin and Robbie for the championship, and Cabe trying to hold off the combo of Barrett Polmus, last week's winner Landon Lewis, and William Cox III for that third and final points-paying spot in the championship standings. As you're watching qualifying right now, and currently a new name up at the top of the list, Bryson Ruff with a 35.317. That's quite a lap for Bryson so far. Only not even half the field has come around to take an official time here in qualifying. As Christian mentioned, big track for these cars, 35-second laps. Some of these drivers are just rolling out. CJ Juleson pulling off pit road right now. Good to have him back in the series after missing the last couple of weeks. You're watching Seth Wise out on the track, and now we slide things over to Dominic Carter in the 22 car with a little bit of homage there to the good folks at Rusty's and Lightning McQueen. There's Nick Loden. Nick's had some strong runs in this series, but hasn't really been able to put it all together, unfortunately, for one of those big finishes. Boy, Nick was doing some serious drifting there, and there's the Kachow car, Dominic Carter. Give a shout out to Mackie watching on the broadcast. Mackie's at the courthouse, is what I'm told by our director. I don't know why you're at the courthouse. Thursday afternoon. Should be kicking back right now with a nice cool drink. Enjoying some late model racing on a big track. Ethan Nascimento using his brother Eric's account there with the 5150 entry. Talk about a family with a rich racing history. And there's Cave McClenny, the Dobitz construction car. Cave, his little brother Cale, run out of Bakersfield. Dad JR runs everything for them there. Austin Edwards, our points leader. And here's Landon Lewis, who won last week. It said finally cracked the code, Christian. And we've been waiting. It just kind of felt like somebody was going to sneak through, and it was good to see Landon get on top last week.
Yeah, and it's been really close actually at the front for the entire season between Robbie Keneally and Austin Edwards. And the first race that Robbie Keneally was actually able to beat Austin Edwards, unfortunately wasn't able to pick up the win because Landon Lewis was there picking up the win. And I think that's kind of really been the story the whole time of how dominant Austin Edwards has been. And it was cool to see that we had a real fight at the front, and it did flip around quite a few times at Bristol, the lead. And I think coming in tonight, it's going to be difficult to beat Austin Edwards, and he's really set out his stall already with the pole time right now with 40 seconds to go.
Austin Edwards' lap of a 35.208, although Jay Juleson right there, the 35.24. Jay's somebody who he's taken the last couple weeks off of this series, Christian, and he's run a lot of the NASCAR series on iRacing. And if you're new to iRacing or thinking about getting involved, one of the really cool things that they've done is added a NASCAR Cup series that's kind of open to a lot more drivers. Traditionally, the NASCAR Cup car, like Christian runs in the Coca-Cola series, is something that's limited to drivers with an A license, the top license. And what was it? We're going on, 2 years now where we've had the open fix setup NASCAR series that's allowed more drivers involved?
Yeah, and this is a pretty cool series as well. If guys want to go out there and copy the real life schedule, so to speak, it lines up exactly how, well, maybe not how the 2020 schedule would work, but it has done for the past couple of years. And it's a really cool thing because obviously you can run the race that the real drivers are going to run the subsequent weekend. So it is a lot of fun. It's probably one of the best official series on iRacing.
Jay's run that quite a bit here over the last couple of weeks and has picked up quite a bit of wins from that as well. As we get ready to go with our first heat race now. Remember, we're going to run 2 heat races to get us gridded for the main event here, and it is Austin Edwards who picks up the Victory Custom Trailers Fast Qualifier Award once again, and it's a 35.208 to see Austin Edwards start on the pole. Nick Loden will start on the outside of row 1.
To move back to row 2, we got Robbie Keneally. Interesting to see Austin Edwards and Robbie Keneally in the same heat for once, actually. It doesn't normally happen. Both of them kind of end up alongside each other on the front row. Next for a bit, we got Landon Lewis, winner from last week.
And look at that, Cave McClenny right behind him there. So you have the top 4 cars in the series, and Edwards, Keneally, Lewis, and McClenny all going to start in the top 5. And how about Ethan Nascimento? That's, I believe, one of the best qualifying runs he's had, as he'll start up in the 6th.
Then moving back to row 4, we got Dominic Carter alongside Jake Bowman.
And good to see Jake Bowman back here after missing the last couple of races. Brody Moore and Braden Connor will bring up the final complete row in the...
And then we have Jacob Butman, who did not set a time for qualifying, but he will be lining up 11th in this heat.
A couple of cars didn't set a time here, Christian. Jacob Putman's won. Joey Stearns and William Cox III in the next heat. And that's surprising. William Cox III, first off, was pretty quick, if I recall, in the practice standings here. He's middle of the pack, actually, but he's one of those drivers who has been really competitive in this series so far, running up near the front. And I wonder, it was something I meant to point out right at the end of qualifying. I don't know if you noticed it, but Robbie Keneally's official lap came across, I mean, literally as the checkered flag was flying. There was 1 second left in the qualifying session when Keneally hit it. And I wonder if some other drivers maybe just mistimed because of how big this track is, their out lap plus their qualifying laps, and that's why you have so many cars who did not take a lap there. As we are ready to go and the pace car is pulled off. This is a 15-lap heat race, and the green flag is out, and we're already 3 wide with Carter looking inside of McClenny and Landon Lewis. Everybody was kind of stacked up going down the front straightaway, and look at this into turn 1, 3 wide in the middle of the pack in the slower of the 2 corners here at Gateway.
And a great job by everybody to survive the first 2 turns there, 3 wide. I don't think anybody was really expecting that, but it just looked like the front rows didn't really go, and the back rows had already decided that they were accelerating.
Austin Edwards out in front. Landon Lewis working the inside. Nick Loden, they're together. Loden's into the wall. Hard contact. Nick Loden catches the wall, the right front of that car with a ton of damage. And unlike our short tracks, Christian, here, I think any damage at all is doomsday. Loden's, oh, Landon Lewis is around. McClenny upside down. Loden's in it as well. Oh, man. Still chaos off of turn 2. Putman in it. Carter in it. Oh, man.
Almost the entire field in that one. Only really the top 2 survived, and it looked like it all started with that. You see Landon Lewis is already going around. I believe he had some contact with Robbie Keneally on the entrance to 1.
Go on board with Landon Lewis. This is going to be a tough.
You see Lewis is running the top side, turns down into the corner, and Robbie Keneally was underneath him, and it's a little hard to tell from the inside as to if Landon Lewis came down or if Robbie Keneally came up, but definitely caused a huge stack up and a huge wreck behind them. And you see Robbie Keneally to the inside. It looked really kind of just like a meeting in the middle right there.
Well, Nick Loden and Jacob Putman trying to cruise around and get to pit road here. Several cars with serious damage. In fact, I'd say half the field basically with some real heavy damage from that one. Austin Edwards, Robbie Keneally, Brody Moore all got through it clean. Looks like Jake Bowman's car is okay as well. Don't see anything really on Connor and Asemeno as we look around there.
Yeah, it looked quite spectacular, but there are actually quite a number of clean cars. At first, I really thought it was only Austin Edwards and Robbie Keneally that made it through, because that was really where the wreck began. Carter coming down pit road with some pretty big left front damage. You can see the track surface through the left front corner there. Ahead of him, you see Nick Loden with some pretty extreme damage. He was one of the cars who had heavy contact with the outside wall.
Pacing here. Remember, caution flags do not count in the heat and B main or consolation races. Pace lights are off, so we'll be on lap 2 when we go back to green. And remember, there's also a 10-minute limit on both the heat races and the consolation race. 10 minutes. Not a lot of time, Christian, when your pace laps are taking 40 plus seconds.
Yeah, race laps around here are obviously pretty slow, 35-second times, even slower behind the pace car, and that's really going to make it difficult in case we do get any cautions in the main to actually get those 100 laps in under that time limit. Obviously even more so in the heats.
Yeah, I've not done the math on that yet. 35 seconds a lap and 100 laps. That tells me that like anything more than probably 2 cautions means that we would automatically have no chance of getting to the 100 lap mark as the pace car peels off. And here we go. Austin Edwards and Keneally on the front row now. Green flag back out. Everybody involved in that wreck did take fast repairs. They're 4 wide down the front straight. Oh man, can't do that in a
You see a couple of drivers trying to go 3 wide and actually made it through right there, just enough space for that to work. I think a lot of what we're seeing on the restarts comes down to drivers really not wanting to lift. If you lift in this car on the straightaways, you just lose all the momentum that you had. It was 3 wide down the backstretch again.
Robbie Keneally on the outside of Austin Edwards in a battle for the lead, but Edwards rolling the bottom is going to get clear as they come up off a turn. Bowman is settled into third. Landon Lewis already up to fourth. The battle for fifth is between Connor, Putman, and Nascimento. Into the corner, Connor sideways, gets hit. Nascimento, McClenny's in it. Carter as well. Nick Loden hard on the brakes, going to stay out of it. And that's caution number 2 here in this first heat.
You see coming off of turn 4, everybody already stacked pretty much 3 wide. You see McClenny on the outside of that group of 3 there. And coming down into turn 1, everybody trying to be the last of the late breakers, but this corner is actually deceptively difficult. It will catch you out, and it will actually start trying to loop the car around if you're pretty deep on the brakes, and I don't think anybody's really expecting that. I don't think anybody really has that much experience of racing a car like this around this racetrack.
Braden Connor and Cabe McClenny both to pit road. Cabe had already used a fast repair. I don't think Braden used one. He did not, so Braden just used his fast repair. But that's going to pretty much do it for Cabe here in the heat race. Looks like Carter and Nascimento are going to try to keep going.
We are already coming close to that time limit, so if the car's still running, it's advisable to stay out there, even if you can only complete 1 or 2 laps.
Lights still on the pace car here, and we are about to run up against the time limit here for this heat. Austin Edwards leading Robbie Keneally. It'll be Jake Bowman and Landon Lewis in row 2 when we go back green, and it looks like everybody's doubling up here, so they're anticipating that we at least get a restart, which is going to be the next question. Let's see as the pace car crosses the line, and the lights do indeed click out. So it's Edwards and Keneally, Bowman and Lewis in row 2, Putman and Brody Moore row 3. It's going to be Nick Loden and the damaged Ethan Nascimento, and then the damaged Dominic Carter. Braden Connor has a fresh car.
All the way at the tail end of this line with a fresh car. Not really sure there's going to be any laps to make much use of that, but obviously there will be at least one.
At least be able to slide around a couple of the cars there at the back, you would think. The lights are off on the pace car. Pace car peels off. Austin Edwards in control of the field once again. On the loud pedal, green flag back out. If I'm seeing things correctly on my timing and scoring, this would be the final lap of the heat race. Edwards clear of Keneally, Landon Lewis into third, then Bowman. Dominic Carter at the back, or Braden Connor, I should say, has been unable to do anything with the damaged cars in front of him. Into 3 and 4. Austin Edwards will bring him off, and Austin Edwards will take the win here in the first heat race of the night. Robbie Keneally and Landon Lewis, Jake Bowman, Nick Loden, Brody Moore, Ethan Nascimento, Dominic Carter, Braden Connor got around Jacob Putman on the last lap there. Cabe McClenny will come home in the 11th position. Cabe
McClenny,
just
the big
coming out of
loser
turn 4.
in that round, but obviously with such a long main event, he's got a lot of time to get back up there.
And all set now for the second heat race. And we'll take you through the starting lineup here as the driver's grid. It'll be Jay Juleson and Bryson Ruff start.
Now, row 2, we got Barrett Polmus and Seth Watt.
Joe Valento and Katie Hedinger in row 3.
Moving back to row 4, we got the 88 of Cassidy Hines and the 26 of Holly Clark.
Kersey Young and William Cox III, one of those cars we mentioned who did not take a time back there in row 4.
And then bringing up the rear of the field, we've got Joey Stern.
11 cars here. Heat race number 2, 15 laps, 10 minutes. The return of Jay Juleson. And then zone up entry. Switching real life teams this year over to run with the Meade family racing team. Alexander Meade, bright young man. Former driver, crew chief out here on the West Coast. Sister Lily is running the Junior Late Model Series. Jay's moving up out of the Junior Late Models into the Pro Late Models this year. Young man who got to start in iRacing, told Dad, I want to go do this in real life. Doing pretty well at both of those things now. Green flag back out. Heat race number 2 is underway, and Juleson will lead them off into turn number 1. Bryson Ruff up on the outside, and look at Pullman sticking the nose in there on the inside. Seth Wise keeping track too. Juleson gets a bumper. He's into Ruff. Up the track they both go. Both are into the wall. Juleson hang on to it. Jay Juleson with a driving job to hang on to that car, but has some heavy damage on the right side, as does Ruff. Seth Wise lost a ton of space as well.
Yeah, Juleson really got in the wall there, but a great job to keep it straight, even if it did have to come with a little bit of wall assistance. It just looked like Barrett Palmer's got to his bumper in the middle of 1 and 2, and as we've seen before in the series with these cars, once they get tagged, they're very, very difficult to hold on to. They go around very quickly.
So Polmus and Valento have checked out up front, and we're stacking up again. Huge wreck. Huge wreck in 1 and 2, and the caution is out. Cassidy Hines, Bryson Ruff are involved in that.
See again, we're on board with the 3 of William Cox. Just gets to the bumper of the 88 and immediately hooks the 88 up the racetrack. And that's something that can really happen in the 1 and 2 end of this track. It's difficult at the best of times to get 2x2 through this corner, and the lines do cross over quite a bit. If you're running the bottom line, it tends to throw you up the racetrack, especially at the mid corner, and obviously the drivers on the top side are really trying to arc down at that exact point. So you really have to be aware that the line crosses over, and there's a real meeting in the middle effect at that end of the track, and as we're seeing tonight, it's really catching drivers out.
First caution here in heat race number 2. Barrett Polmus out in front of Valento. It'll be Cox and Seth Wise in row 2 when we restart. Jay Juleson, with some damage, has chosen to stay out in case he needs that fast repair later on. And then Holly Clark, Kersey Young, and Katie Hedinger, and then Bryson Ruff there at the back. And Bryson Ruff has also elected not to use the fast repair here on this first caution. Cassidy Hines did have to use a fast repair and is just catching back up to the field. Christian, what are your thoughts on saving a fast repair in a heat race?
I think with such a short race, I'm not really sure it makes a lot of sense to do so, but obviously we've seen the restarts have been quite eventful so far, so if you think that your car's still got decent pace in it and you're mired in the mid-pack, you might want to consider saving it just in case there is another restart wreck and you at least have a spare car that you can fall back on.
Lights are out on the pace cars. They roll down the back straightaway here. And we are halfway through the time limit on this second heat race. With 2 laps down, it's Bear Polmus in the 79 car and Joe Valento in the 30. They're on the front row. William Cox, the third, has managed to work all the way up to third. Seth Weiss in fourth. Interesting that Cox was the one who kind of started that deal and was not penalized for it. And we'll get to restart in third here after not taking the qualifying lap. Already has a chance to go to the front. Cox basically pushing Polmus off turn 4 as they come down the front straight. And the green flag is back out. Joe Valento has disappeared, what we call blinked out in iRacing terms, and has not appeared to be back in. Look at Jay Juleson on the bottom with dust kicking up into turn 1.
And Juleson got a really good run there, and he's staying all the way down on that curve, and he's got 3 to his outside.
Oh, Seth Wise hard off the wall. Gets into Cox as well.
I was just about to say that being on the top side coming off of 2, that wall is kind of deceptive. It sort of jumps out at you, and it's really difficult to stay off it, especially if you're on that high side.
But Joe Valento popped back. He fell all the way back to 4th. That might have been why Seth Wise was talking over the channel when he hit the wall, worried about where Valento was. Down the front straight, they're getting together. Cassidy Hines and Holly Clark.
Field started to spread out a little bit more now, and it's a little bit easier for drivers to anticipate the lines through 1 and 2. Still some side-by-side at the tail end, though.
Bear Polmus loving this. He has checked out at the front of the field. A second lead over Jay Juleson. Seth Wise, despite hammering the wall, hanging on to 3rd, although here comes Valento up off of turn 4, the big one.
Valento with a nice run to the inside here, going into 1, goes all the way to the bottom of the racetrack.
Valento clears him pretty easy up off of 2. Jay Juleson just ran the fastest lap of the race and knocked a couple hundredths off of that lead for Polmus. Took out the back of Bear Polmus, Jay Juleson, and that 12 car slowly getting big.
I don't think Jay Juleson's going to be too happy with Polmus for what happened on the initial start. But obviously recovered to a second position right now. It will grid him 4th in the main if he finishes here.
Got Joe Valento to worry about now as Polmus just went to quick time for this heat. On board with Valento, who lost those spots on the restart when he blinked out.
Valento running much lower through 3 and 4. See Jay Juleson go for more of a diamond line. Does get a better run off the corner, but there is significant damage on that 12, and now a long straightaway to really feel that.
We halfway next time by, and Valento able to get to the quarter panel. Juleson in 1 and a great camera shot there. Really, you could see how much Valento starts to close in by following up his entry, and there's a good battle going on behind these two. That's for 4th between Bryson Ruff and Seth Wise, a couple of cars who have found the wall on their own here in this race. And look at Ruff's slide job, Seth Wise in 1.
You see a lot of damage on Seth Wise' car. I'm surprised you can even see out of this thing right now.
Yeah, wouldn't want to be the passenger in this car, would you? Oh, Seth really drove it in there.
Get a good exit. And I don't think he's got anything for Bryson Ruff with that damaged car.
Back to the battle for P2, and Valento closed right up to Jay Juleson's bumper again in 1 and 2.
And Valento definitely looks a lot quicker right now, but just not able to find a way around Jay Juleson. So he really got on the curb there, has lost a lot of time. Great save though, almost went around.
Bear Pullmas has checked out in front of these two. 2.5 to the. And again, the timer starting to run down here. Swap back to the battle for 2nd again. On board. And out the back of Juleson. You saw that damage on the right front of Juleson's car as. And this will be the last lap of this heat race because of time constraints. Big run for Juleson down the back straightaway off of turn 4. Barrett Pullmas going to pick up his first heat race win of the season. Comes across the line, the checkers flying. Juleson in 2nd, then Valento, Bryson Ruff, Seth Wise. Slide all the way back to Holly Clark, who leads Katie Hedinger and Cassidy Hines and Kirsty Young and the quartet of ladies in this heat race, and then William Cox to 3rd back there. Bring up the rear. And we will indeed skip the B main and go straight to the main event with every car qualifying for the main. We got a 5-minute warm-up session here. And then we'll go racing, and we do have an update. We've been saving until we got through the heat races here, but the main event we're told will be 50 laps, 5-0 on the main event here. Apparently that was a pretty late change to the main event here, and so it's 50 laps, obviously considering the possible time constraints that will run, or 45 minutes, whichever one comes first here in the main event tonight. Still the same standard rules with one green-white checkered as well. And we'll be looking forward to that as the 22 drivers get a chance to get some practice here together and warm up for this main event. Taking a look at the warm-up right now. And Austin Edwards, boy, talking about blistering. 35.29 here in the warm-up for Ed. Landon Lewis into the low 3s now as well, 35.32. That's lap 1 on pretty cold tires.
Austin Edwards just cementing that he is the guy to beat in this series. Some different faces up at the front this week. Obviously, we saw Barrett Palmas win the second heat race. Going to be starting on the outside of the front row, and the highest he started all season actually. And driver we've seen who's had some very good race pace, but not really hooked it together very well for qualifying a couple of times. Be interesting to see what he can do at the front.
Halfway through this warm-up session, as we get ready for the main event. And Austin Edwards has some company on the leaderboards now here in this warm-up. Edwards ran a 29.2, Robbie Keneally ran a 29.4, so hope for the main event and some competition here in this last race of the Mobil 1 Junior Late Model eSports Series presented by MADERA Speedway. We'll take a quick break and be back. Their main event, 50 big ones, coming your way next, and $1,000 on the line for the series champ here on the Global SimRacing Channel.
Your home is a lot like your car. It requires regular maintenance to keep it safe and maintain its value. The professional technicians from Home Smiles complete all your annual maintenance items in just one day. Save time and keep your family safe with our complete 18-point service starting at just $49 a month. Order today with promo code FREEMONTH and we'll waive your first payment.
1-888-SMILE-11. One click or call, smile, it's done.
Hello everybody, Kenny Shepard here from the MADERA Speedway. You know, we take a lot of pride in the program that we have built at MADERA to showcase the top talent in the country from the MADERA Speedway on our MAV TV show. And we're very proud to sponsor this iRacing series for our stars from the MADERA Speedway to compete against other top talent from all over the country. We look forward to seeing everyone very soon as we get the season kicked off at the MADERA Speedway. Until then, have fun and be safe.
We're ready to go for the final time in the inaugural Mobil 1 Junior Late Model eSports Series presented by MADERA Speedway. 50 laps, $250 to the race winner, 1,000 big ones to the series champion. And as the pace car rolls, let's take you through the grid for the final time here in this series. And starting up front, Austin Edwards, the first place ace and your points leader, and also the winner of the Victory Custom Trailers Fast Qualifier Award, along with Barrett Palmas. Row 2, Robbie Keneally, second in points, the only other driver we believe who can win the championship here tonight, alongside of Jay Juleson. Landon Lewis, last week's winner, the only other winner in the series besides Edwards, will start alongside Joe Valento, with Jake Bowman and Bryson Ruff and Nick Loden and Seth Wise in row 5.
And moving outside the top 10, we got Brody Moore, Holly Clark in 11th and 12th, Eric Nascimento and Katie Hedinger 13th and 14th. There we go. Dominic Carter, Cassidy Hines, 15th, 16th. Braden Connor, we saw have some incidents in the heat race, starting 17th for Kersey Young in 18th. And Jacob Putman, William Cox, Cabe McClenny all the way back in 21st, and Joey Stearns in 22nd.
Gabe McClenny third in points, and that pays, so he's trying to hang on to that spot. That's going to be fun to watch as well, as the pace car will peel off and we're ready to go for round 6. It's time to crown a champion. And Austin Edwards, the first place ace, will bring us to the green flag, 50 laps at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Edwards gets clear out in front, will lead him down into turn 1, and Robbie Keneally trying to keep pace side by side with Polmus for second.
See Polmus getting into the wall, coming off a 2 already. A couple other drivers further back in the pack having the same issue. Allowed Robbie Keneally to get well clear on the inside as he runs down to turn 3.
Stayed clean through turns 1 and 2 into 3 and 4. Everybody already trying to get single file here, and Austin Edwards already opens up a 3, 4, 5 car length advantage over Robbie Keneally as they screen down the front straightaway for the first time at full pace.
3 wide going on for third place.
Contact!
Going around.
Contact! Lewis got into him, and they're around behind him. An even bigger wreck. Jake Bowman's upside down in 1 and 2. They're still wrecking. Still no caution. We're going to stay green. There it is. Caution finally thrown by race control. Several cars in trouble in 1 and 2. And while that looked like it started with Landon Lewis getting into somebody up front, Jake Bowman also goes around.
Got a lot of contact further back. The 30 going around. I believe there was some contact with the 87. A wild ride for Katie Hedinger in the 71, though.
Joe Valento got a lot of help from Seth Wise as they got down into 1 and 2. Go on board with Katie Hedinger.
Tipped around. But that actually looked like it was, that was the earlier incident actually with Braden Connor that I'd seen at the opposite end of the racetrack at the tail end of lap 1. I'm not entirely sure how, even though that happened, that Katie Henninger was able to get involved in that subsequent wreck on the at the other end in 1 and 2.
But Jake Bowman is the one who ends up really going for a ride in that deal. So Bowman, Valento, Seth Wise all had heavy damage. Looks like everybody else, what we call ghosted through that, Cassidy Hines being one of them. In front of them, and if we can go back and look at what was about to be a really big wreck, Jay Juleson, looks like we're not going to be able to get to it, but Jay Juleson got turned by Landon Lewis. That's what that 3 wide was. It was Lewis to the inside, Juleson in the middle, and Polmus up top. And Juleson went around, and Jay had some pretty heavy contact with Bryson Ruff. So now we're going to have to do a damage assessment, because remember, just one fast repair here for these drivers.
Now I do think it is a much more tactical decision as to when you take that fast repair in this main event. You absolutely don't want to be taking that early. We've seen the restarts extremely eventful at this racetrack. It looks like if there's any 2 wides through the 1 and 2 end of the racetrack, it's always coming out with somebody being tipped into a spin, unfortunately.
So the field already doubling up here. And the lights go out. Boy, Juleson and Lewis just wrecked under caution on the front straight. What was that? Landon Lewis just turned down into Juleson, and Juleson turned right back into him and put him in the wall.
I'm not sure what went on with the 39, whether he just wasn't paying attention for a second or two, but the 12 was definitely not happy about that.
Boy, you talk about a couple cars that look, they just got out of the Madison County Fair Demo Derby. Landon Lewis, Jay Juleson already. It's lap 5. So pace car will peel off here. Austin Edwards is on it, and we are back green here at Gateway.
Cars really not going in the mid-pack. 78 Brody
not
Moore
really
got a
clear of
bad
Keneally
run.
up front. Oh, they reckon it's Juleson and Lewis again. Landon's into the wall. Juleson trying to hang on. He's going to come back down the track. Everybody somehow snuck through that. Jay Juleson going to lose the field with some heavy damage, and Landon Lewis's car is also junked, and they're battling for the lead.
You got to feel that there might have been some something carried over from that restart there.
Oh, Landon Lewis was just disqualified. Race Control has removed Landon Lewis from this event. Well, that's an interesting decision. Not really sure what was happening there, but Lewis got DQ'd. I don't know if it's because of his damage or what, but it was definitely Juleson who initiated the contact, and Jay Juleson was just black flagged. So Landon Lewis has been DQ'd, and Jay Juleson's been issued a black flag. Drama in round 6. Meanwhile, Austin Edwards and Robbie Keneally have tried to open up themselves some Bryson Ruff and Barrett Polis. Battle for P5. Into the corner, it's Nick Loden getting around Dominic Carter, and Jacob Putman trying to sneak through as well.
Putman to the inside. Dominic Carter losing 2 spots in a single lap here. Putman able to clear him on entry, cover off the run down the backstretch. Nick Loden having a good night here, running in the top 5. We've seen him have some good pace, but get involved in a lot of incidents over the course of the season. So nice to see him having a good run. Obviously not over yet. He's got Jacob Putman, who's looked strong behind him. Looks like he's going to have a run on Loden down here in the 3. Goes to his inside. Decides to back out of it.
Putman is all over the back of Loden. Gets a better run out of the corner.
Yeah, it looked like Putman just drove in a little bit too deep, was chasing the car in the middle of the corner there. It looks like Race Control's changed their opinion on the Jay Juleson and Landon Lewis incident. Now both drivers disqualified.
They've just removed both of them, yes. So both Juleson and Lewis disqualified from the finale. Battle going on for 11th right now. Seth Wise inside of Brody Moore in turns 3 and 4. And that's also Joe Valento right there. Boy, look at Seth Wise wobbling around down there on the rumble strips, Christian.
Yeah, those rumble strips are kind of a tricky place to be. Obviously, you are shortening the track up, but they really unsettle the car. Not quite as severe as we saw back at the Myrtle Beach round, where they would really spin you around if you even went near them. But still.
Seth Wise with the crossover move. Behind him there, Cave McClenny all over Valento.
McClenny making strong progress.
Look at Seth Wise drifting up the track, and that's going to allow Valento and McClenny to get right there, and they're going to be all stacked up off of 4.
Yeah, McClenny with a huge run to the inside of Valento here. thinks better of it, slots in behind. 78 is driven way deep into the corner, going to lose 3
3
spots.
wide. Oh, McClenny and Moore. Boy, they nearly doored each other, the yellow cars there. Pick your shade of highlighter. That's how you know who to root for.
See again, Brody Moore on the outside in 1 and 2. Drives in very deep again.
Oh, almost too deep. McClenny's going to get a strong run up off 2 and clear him. There's something to talk about, Christian, with your experience running stock cars on larger ovals and how much it can hurt you in a momentum car like this, as tempting as it is to try to drive into the corner and beat your opponent in, just how much that really actually hurts you in the long.
Well, what it really comes down to, especially the 1 and 2 end of the track, is that it's actually not beneficial to be driving in so deep. You can really get away with it in the 3 and 4 end. The car will just kind of follow the curve, but by sliding the rear tires, it really hurts you on the long run. You get them really hot, and then you start to lose the drive off. And as we see right now, Brody Moore looks like he's starting to fall back from this group of 3, and now he's sliding on entry at both ends of the racetrack, and it just gets harder and harder, and the more you slide, the worse the scenario gets. So you really gotta get on top of it early.
Good battle. Let's move up. Good battle for P9 right now, and I want to point that out because there's a young lady who has had some tough goes of it in this series, in the 88 car of Cassidy Hines, but her strongest run yet here in the main event. You're on board with Cassidy. Started 16th up to 10th and battling William Cox for 9th right now. In fact, the last time through 1 and 2, Cassidy was actually able to pull up and get alongside of William Cox 3rd. Cassidy Hines, 16-year-old out of Colorado, is actually going to move over to the 5150 Junior Late Model Series at Madera this year with the Nate Clower Motorsports team. So we're excited to see Cassidy get behind the wheel in real life at Madera in the Junior Late Model Series on MAV TV this year, and having a strong showing here as she gets a big run on Cox, and Nick Loden in front of her is around. Nick Loden from 5th is around and into the grass.
Take a look at what happened to Loden there.
Stopped on the track. I don't know if he's trying to draw a yellow, but that's not going to work. Race officials aren't going to fall for that. Remember, they've shut the iRacing yellows off. He's still parked there. At some point, he's just going to get booted, I think.
Let's see him on the outside. 21 to his inside. That's Jacob Putman.
And they do throw the yellow. Wow, that's because the leaders were coming.
Oh, and it looked like Putman just pushed up the racetrack on the exit of 2 and hooked Nick Loden around.
Boy, but that, you talk about poor taste from Nick Loden. He waited all the way for the leaders to come around to force race control to throw a caution. I've always been a firm believer that if you do that in a real race, you should just be disqualified and parked for the next race, but that's just me.
Yeah, definitely looked like he was waiting out there to get that yellow to come out. As you say, it had to be manual by race control. He's going to lose a lap because of it, but we'll have to see if there's going to be any further sanctions for that.
Loden will get to come around and use his fast repair here. That being a lap down is going to be difficult, although Lucky Dogs are on, so on the next yellow, I think the iRacing Lucky Dog would kick in for him.
It's definitely possible that he's back on the lead lap before the end of this race.
So Loden takes his Lucky Dog, or his fast repair, I should say. It's going to allow a lot of drivers who had some damage to get some work done. Putman down on pit road now as well. And Putman got sandwiched in the wall on that deal.
Yeah, it's an interesting decision for Putman to come down. Obviously, he did get involved in that wreck and did, as you say, had some damage, but...
And he takes his fast repair, so not even attempting to get that race car cleaned up, Christian. Jacob Putman decided time to take the fast repair.
That's a big loss in track position, though, obviously running in the top 5 and almost at the halfway point of the race. You know, on the screen it says 20 to 77, but we will be doing 50 laps tonight.
Kersey Young up there at the front of the field. I think, is she going to get the lucky dog? No, I think it's going to be Bowman, actually. Jake Bowman on his lid in that first incident of the night. Takes the wave around. But still going to leave Bowman a lap down, I believe.
Obviously, Nick Loden is the first car a lap down, but being the caution car, he won't be receiving the lucky dog.
Bowman catches back up to the back of the field. He is 1 lap down along with Nick Loden, as you just mentioned. Kersey Young 3 laps back. Jay Juleson and Landon Lewis were both disqualified and are out of the race. Nick Loden was just disqualified as well. So there's your answer, Christian, on what the repercussions would be for forcing race control to throw a caution. And the answer is removal from the race server. So Nick Loden disqualified.
I think that falls in line with what your suggested penalty was going to be to park them for the next race. Obviously, there is no next race, so he's been parked for this one.
Hey, nobody has to take my suggestions on things. That was a general suggestion. I have long said that since my days of driving a modified in the NASCAR series out here on the West Coast. I just never understood why drivers were allowed to get away with intentionally bringing out cautions. That's especially true in series that don't count yellows for their main events. This series fortunately does, but in series that don't, you often see drivers just sit. The yellow will fly right before they get lapped because the leaders are coming, and then magically the car just fires up and drives away to pit road and gets a new tire or whatever they need. It's like a miracle every time.
Yeah, that is something that we do see a lot of on iRacing, especially when the cautions are automatic, so to speak. We do see a lot of times where drivers will have an incident and then they'll park it on the racing surface. So it's not something I like to see either.
I was going to say, in an iRacing, as you know, Christian, we all know, those of us who are veteran, long-time iRacers, know where every spot is on all the racetracks that we run that will trigger those automatic cautions if a car is parked. So it's easy to kind of quote-unquote get away with if you don't have live race admins like we do.
Yeah, there is some occasions where I do think people have been wronged a little bit by cautions not coming out in incidents where they should do, but at the same time, when drivers stop on the racing surface intentionally to bring one out, it is a little bit dubious.
All right, what do you say we get back to racing here as we close in on lap 23, 2 laps from halfway. The series finale of the Mobil 1 Junior Late Model eSports Series presented by MADERA Speedway. And we're back green with Edwards and Keneally side by side as they get to turn 1.
See, Keneally was really trying to get in there, not actually wanting to challenge Edwards.
Well, he's going to try the crossover move and get a run here, Christian.
Yeah, he's got to watch out behind, though, because Palmer's got a huge run off of 2, and he's looking to his inside.
Barrett Palmas wants to send it into 3.
And he does. He's going to get to him. Nearly gets into the left rear of Robbie Keneally there.
Boy, Keneally did a great job of rolling the outside there and driving away from Palmas. And now Palmas under attack from Bryson Ruff.
Ruff dives down to the bottom. Palmas to the very top of the racetrack. Not able to get a run on the exit there.
Brody Moore into the wall at the back of the highlighter yellow car. Tagged a piece of the wall off turn 2, but able to continue. Look at the battle for 7th. And that is Dominic Carter. And how about Cabe McClenny? Trouble off turn 4. We got one wrecked. Couple cars crashed off turn 4. Kersey Young is in it. Katie Hedinger. Ethan Nascimento as well. We stay green. Let's take another look. Oh, and it starts. Is that Seth Wise? No, it's Hedinger. It's Katie Hedinger. Katie Hedinger got into the inside wall and came back up as you look again.
See Hedinger on the bottom here. It's tagged, hits that inside wall, and Kirsty Young with nowhere to go.
So we move back up to the front of this one. And that was Hedinger, who just blew a motor down on the pit access road that you might have seen as the field flew by, and we'll have to take a fast repair.
Got some contact towards the back end of the field there. There's a 3 wide heading into 3, and it looked like William Cox wasn't able to make the middle work. Got into Joe Valento.
While we were watching that Katie Hedinger, Kirsty Young wreck, we had missed halfway, which is what they were coming to, and it's Austin Edwards taking the halfway challenge presented by Raceface Telmed. I believe that's the 4th time Austin's won it, at least the 3rd. I think it's 4. Robbie Keneally's doing a nice job just kind of hanging in there. So move back to the battle for 6th position.
Cade McClenny with a big run here. Cassidy Hines on the top side of the racetrack. Lets McClenny go into 3.
Cassidy Hines was all the way up into 6th and slide back to 7th though. And again, that's a strong run for that 88 car, which is great to see. And just behind them, you've got Putman and Carter and Seth Wise for the final 3 spots in the top 10.
Putman really making a recovery drive here and doing a solid job of it. Already back inside the top 10.
Speaking of drivers who are having great runs that we should really give our due diligence to, how about on board with the driver in the 5th position right now? 13-year-old Holly Clark out of Colorado Springs. Highest running lady in the field. This is as far up as we've seen any of our young ladies thus far in the series. And Holly doing a phenomenal job in this one, although she's got tons of company from McClenny and then Cassidy Hines right behind her as well. But Holly Clark by her own accord up there in the 5th position right now and doing a fine job, Christian.
Yeah, doing a great job. Actually making moves. Started the race in 12th and +7. Looks like it's about to become +6. Hard to hold off Cade McClenny right here, but still a great run.
Inside of 20 laps to go, and McClenny to the inside will get around Clark in 1 and 2. And now, as I mentioned, Cassidy Hines is right there, as well as Jacob Putman, who came in to take that fast repair. You talk about quick work for Putman, all the way up to the 8th spot and all over Hines into turn.
Letting Putman go on the inside there. It's interesting to watch both McClenny and Putman both coming from the back, and Putman actually looks the stronger of the 2 right now.
Now Holly Clark is going to have to keep an eye on her rearview mirror, and Putman as well. In fact, Putman with a big run off a 2 is going to make a move.
See Putman to the quarter. And actually making contact right there.
Boy, Holly Clark did a great job saving that race car. Cassidy Hines gets through it as well.
Unfortunately, lose 2 spots like that. I have to see if Holly Clark can get back to Cassidy Hines.
Battle for 3rd, maybe starting to heat up here. It's Holmes and Ruff. Holmes with a big run, even with that damage.
See Holmes looking to the inside. Choosing the bottom of the racetrack. But Ruff's taking a really high arc right here. Trying to see if he can get some drive off on exit, and he does. Looks like he might clear Palmas by the time they get down to 1. Palmas slots in behind.
Jacob Putman just got around Cade McClenny in turns 1 and 2. You could see it in the background there. Down the back straightaway. Let's take a look. Pass that moved Putman back into the top 5.
Putman just gets a great run. Coming down into turn 1, has the inside on McClenny. McClenny looks like he just elects to let him go on the entry right there. And Jacob Putman is looking extremely strong at this racetrack, obviously having to make a comeback, but just driven his way up inside the top 5 and has really been unchallenged to do so.
On board with Cade McClenny, Bakersfield driver, trying to chase down Jacob Putman now.
See just at the screen right there, Palmas and Ruff are actually not too far ahead of this pairing.
Battle for 8th, Holly Clark and Seth Wise. Wise trying to get on the low side of Clark into turn 1, will do so. Holly Clark seems like just let Seth Wise go cruising on by there. And Carter just moved around Valento into the top 10 as well.
Wise drove it in really, really deep there. Able to get it pulled up though and managed to come off the corner ahead of Holly Clark.
Checking back in on P3. Bryson Ruff ahead of Barrett Polmas. Jacob Putman starting to distance himself from Cade McClenny and maybe reel those two in. Last time around, Putman knocked 0.2 of a second off the gap to 3rd and 4th.
Right now we've got 3 cars lapping in the 35.5s. Austin Edwards, Robbie Keneally, and Jacob Putman.
Boy, the battle's really stacking up now. Here between Clark and Hines and Carter and Valento. That's 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. Valento gets alongside of Dominic Carter.
I'm actually a little surprised that we haven't seen greater progress from Valento. He looked really strong in the heat.
And Joe's got some damage on the right front of that car, and I almost wonder if he is saving a fast repair. I don't remember if he's had to use one here as he almost gets into Carter. And that maybe that might be backfiring, saving it. 10 laps to go in this one. Again, the scoring bug, we have to remind you that the last second change to 50 laps. So the reason the bug is off is because that is iRacing predicting how many laps we can run on the 45-minute time. But we are only running to lap 50 with the green-white checkered still in play if we need it.
See, Valento now got to the inside of the 22 of Dominic Carter, but Carter with a much better exit off of 2. Not going to be clear by the time they get down to 3 though, so this is definitely Valento's best chance. Going to come off 3 and 4, very, very even. Looks like it's tipping in Valento's favor at this point. 22 doesn't look like he can hold on the top side, especially in 3 and 4. It was very deep, but does get a good run. 30 clips the curb, loses all the ground that he's made up.
Well, every time Valento gets there, Carter just able to fend them off.
So he's going to be trying again, but this time backs off, gets to the bumper of the 22 and lifts.
And a battle up for P4. Jacob Putman is there. Reels in Barrett Pullmus and gets by him down the back straightaway, and now has a chance to go and get Bryson Ruff as well.
Pullmus is just falling off a little bit from Ruff, and obviously Jacob Putman continuing to make great progress. About 2 to 3 car lengths before he gets to Bryson Ruff, and under 10 laps to do it. When he gets to the stripe, he's going to have 6 laps to try and get that 3rd spot.
And meanwhile, behind them, Seth Wise got into the wall off turn 4 and stacked up everybody. Holly Clark, Cassidy Hines, Joe Valeno, and Dominic Carter are all there. It's now turned into a 5-car battle down the front straight.
Yeah, and this group's really been tied together all race at this point. Obviously, Seth Wise did get to the head of the line and started to make some progress, but as you say, that little mistake and stacked everybody back together. Holly Clark did get around Cassidy Hines, but Joe Valento has managed to get past Dominic Carter finally. And it's a 3-car fight right now.
5 laps to go as Austin Edwards comes across the line. Well, a little contact there maybe. Looked like Cassidy Hines might have gotten into the back of Holly Clark, and it's going to allow Valento to get around.
Cassidy Hines just had a bit more center roll than Holly Clark there. Got to the bumper and checked herself up, and it's allowed Valento to get by on the bottom.
And Bryson Ruff trying to defend that podium spot. Jacob Putman is there.
He's got a huge run down the backstretch. Ruff's tried to cover him off, not able to do it. Putman's to his inside. Gets a little bit
Sliding
loose.
up the track. Look at Ruff squeeze him off of 4, Christian.
It's getting very tight. I don't think Ruff's going to be able to hold this on the outside in 1 and 2. Putman definitely looks the stronger of the pairing right now. Goes to the bottom of the racetrack. Ruff tries to hold him down. Ruff's going to get a really good exit.
They get into each other again. Donut City off of 2. They're still into each other down the back straight.
A little bit of a funnel effect coming off of 2, and obviously these two drivers running each other very, very hard as they come into 2 to go at this point. Putman with a mistake, grabs the curb, loses about a car length. He's not going to have an opportunity down to 1 and 2 this time. Goes for a higher arc this time to get a big run. It looks like it's going to gain him a little bit of time. I don't think he's going to get close enough to Ruff to have an attempt into 3, but he's going to be right to the bumper.
Austin Edwards off of turn 4, coming to the white flag. 1 lap to go as Bryson Ruff goes up the track behind him, and Putman slides into P3. 1 lap to go for Austin Edwards, and $1,000 within sight as Putman moves to P3, and now Bryson Ruff has to worry about Pullmus in the battle for 4th. They're side by side up off of 2.
And Ruff with a much better run off of 2 this time, and it looked like he just got kind of out-braked into 3.
Austin Edwards off of turn 4 will come around and for the 5th time take the checkered flag and win the championship in the inaugural Mobil 1 Junior Late Model eSports Series presented by MADERA Speedway. Keneally second, Putman third, Ruff and Polmis and McClenny. Here's the battle on back, and Cassidy Hines moves all the way up there to P8 on the last lap. Seth Wise came home 7th. Hines jumped to 8th. Carter and Cox, your top 10. But that's the man of the hour in the 18 car. Austin Edwards for Quick Pause and Lucas Oil. That young man who decided he wanted to build a race team with his mom and dad and go racing was a winner in the inaugural season of the Junior Late Models at MADERA Speedway, and now is a 5-time winner and the champion in the inaugural Mobil 1 Junior Late Model eSports Series presented by MADERA Speedway. We'll talk to the champion and the podium when we return here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Welcome back to Worldwide Technology Raceway Gateway in Madison, Illinois, just over the river from St. Louis, and the championship finale of the Mobil 1 Junior Late Model eSports Series presented by MADERA Speedway. I'm Jason Galvin alongside Christian Challoner, and this is our championship post-race show here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. The 6-race series is complete, although we do have to tell you, we apologize for this, but because of the last-second change to 50 laps from 100, we are not able to run through the final results because everybody's so excited after the race, they all went and celebrated. So final standings are kind of out of whack right now, and that'll have to be sorted out by race control, but we can tell you definitively about this young man. The race winner for the 5th time in 6th rounds and the series champion. Austin Edwards, the first place ace, picks up the win. He did not, however, win the Fast Race Lap Award presented by homesmiles.com. That's going to go to 2nd place. And Robbie Keneally who ran a 35.315 in the race. So Robbie Keneally is going to pick up the Fast Lap Award, according to what I'm looking at over on my JRT. Of course, again, that could all be flopped around and different there. Austin did win the halfway award. He did win the Victory Custom Trailers Pole Sitter Award, halfway challenge presented by Raceface Telmed. And we're still trying to figure out who the hard charger was, presented by BEA Energy Drink. But I have a sneaky suspicion it's going to be Cabe McClenny, who finished up there in the 7th position. But again, we'll have to wait for official word there. All right, let's talk to the man of the hour. He won 5 races. If I do my math real quick here, that's $1,250, and he won the championship, and that's cool. Another $1,000 for this young man. Austin Edwards. Boy, you talk about a productive way to spend your days home from school and not racing. How's that for a 6-week haul? $2,250. Congratulations, young man. What a run.
Man, let me tell you, dream job right there. But this whole season was fun with all this great, talented group of drivers. It's always fun racing alongside Landon Lewis, Robbie Keneally, Jay Juleson for the races he made. Everyone in here is super talented. It was an honor to be able to run with them in the first place, let alone win the championship against all of them. So it was a pretty dominant season, had definitely some ups and downs. I learned a little bit of a lesson at Bristol when it comes to tight cars, so I put that into play a lot here and was able to pull out with the lead in a pretty uneventful race, which I personally didn't mind at all. So it was a lot of fun. A big thanks to all the admins and you guys for putting all this on. Big thank you to my sister who actually paid my entry fee originally, which I can pay back to her now.
I was just going to say that. She's going to be expecting that check in the mail.
Oh, absolutely. Big thanks also to C&M Electric, Bergeson's Heating and Air, all my real-life family and friends that helped me in real life that have gotten me my start to be able to even do something this amazing on the simulator. So, again, it was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for putting it on, and I can't wait for whatever next event we get on to.
I'm sure there'll be some more things coming your way. And I know that you threw a series together for all the Madera guys to just go have some fun with there. But let's talk about this car and this series and why everything seemed to click for you, Austin. What was it about this combo that made you so...
Well, to be honest, I am not that great at this late model stock car. It's a little bit different compared to what I race in real life.
Don't tell everybody else that, secret.
Right. Well, these cars in iRacing, they make them big spring cars rather than coilovers. So that right there alone is a big difference. Other than that, it's mostly the same car. But I seem to click a lot more on the simulator in the super late models. So I really had to take a lot of time to test with this car and get used to it and the setups that these guys were putting together for it. It definitely took a lot of work, but I was able to get consistent with it. And that's one of the things that played most into this year, was being consistent, hitting your marks, and not making mistakes like I did at Bristol.
Yeah, you definitely were pretty much mistake-free this year, young man. Well, hey, congratulations. What a great run, a championship, a whole lot of fun for us up here in the broadcast booth. And I look forward to when you and I can do some Victory Lane interviews on MAV TV.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jason.
Austin Edwards. They call him the first place ace. Boy, did he earn that nickname here. And he is your champion in the inaugural Mobil 1 Junior Late Model eSports Series presented by MADERA Speedway. And one of his real-life rivals at MADERA Speedway. Never picked up a win, but he was on the podium almost every week and comes home second in the points. And Christian will catch up with Robbie Keneally.
Robbie, another second-place finish tonight, and kind of looked a little bit of a relaxing drive, really, just running there in second the whole night. And second for the series in the final standings. So, obviously, unfortunate that you didn't manage to pick up a win this season, but you were clearly one of, if not the second strongest driver. You got to be pretty happy overall.
I'm definitely happy, man. I tried everything I could to get Austin one of these races, and I couldn't. He's a very respectful racer, so I'm happy to come P2.
I'll definitely picking up some good coin for that second spot, and as I mentioned, obviously second quite a few times this season. Now, going forwards, if there is a second series of this season, if there is a second season of this series, would you be looking to come back, or would you be looking for them to run a different car? We heard Austin say that he felt like the Super is a little bit more comparable to what you guys run in real life. Do you have much experience with that car?
I have a lot more experience with that car. I actually have really none experience with this car, but I do a lot of super late model leagues, and I'd love to run that car.
I'll definitely be keeping a lookout for that, and obviously second for the season. Now, got a lot of sponsors on the cards. Anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, for sure. I'd like to thank Wiley X, Oakley Chiropractic, SD Plumbing, American Swim Academy, Kathy Marple's Linex. I want to thank you guys for putting on a good show and announcing. I want to thank my mom for the entry fee, and I want to thank special thanks to Kenny Shepard and Madera Speedway for all.
All right. Well, thank you for putting on a great number of races for us and being one of the top contenders all season long. And congratulations again on the second.
Appreciate it.
Well, that's going to do it for us here. Jacob Putman did not make it into the booth for his third place finish, and we can confirm that Cabe McClenny, another one of the Madera Speedway Junior Late Model competitors, came home third in the championship points as well, and third in the race. He third in the championship also receive a payout from all of the great sponsors here in this series. Speaking of which, why don't we tell you about them, because we couldn't have done this amazing unique series without them. Mobil 1, Madera Speedway, of course, Sir Rod Wortham and his crew at Racephase Brand Development that organized this entire event, Racecraft 1, Victory Custom Trailers, Homesmiles.com, BEA Energy Drink, Filion Design, and Raceface Telmed. All the great sponsors that helped make this event special. I want to remind you that you can catch a lot of these drivers in action on MAV TV, Lucas Oil's owned Motorsports network, MAV TV, and you can catch both the Junior Late Models and the Pro Late Model series from Madera Speedway, airing on Thursdays. Myself, Stephen Blakesley, Outback Andy Foster, Kenny Shepard, who was mentioned tonight, all involved with the on-air broadcast of that series out at Madera Speedway. Check it out. Check out MAV TV, your local listings, and catch some of these cars and drivers in real life doing their thing. Finally, want to thank everybody at the Global SimRacing Channel, Dougie Beard, Sean Ambrose, turning the knobs, and my broadcast partner, Christian Challoner. Been great working with you, Christian.
Yeah, it's definitely been a fun season. Thanks for calling it with me, Jason.
Good luck the rest of the way in the Coca-Cola eNASCAR series as well. Well, that's going to do it for us here tonight. Thank you to everybody that helps make this broadcast happen. Stay tuned for plenty of more great events coming up here on the Global SimRacing Channel and also over on the iRacing eSports Network. We want to congratulate Austin Edwards, your winner in Round 6 here at Worldwide Technology Raceway and your champion in the Mobil 1 Junior Late Model eSports Series presented by Madera Speedway. Until next time, I'm Jason Galvin, reminding you the only one who remembers when you come home second is your wife and your dog. Good night.